Well, we have Shabbos Gimel Aleph.
Gimel Daled. Oh yeah,
Right.
yeah. Sorry, you're right. Gimel Aleph. Gimel Aleph. You're right.
A double stove that was heated with straw or with stubble, we may place cooked food upon it. If it was heated with mark or wood, one may not place cooked food upon it until he has swept away the coals or until he has put ashes over them. Mechama says hot water but not cooked food. Basila says both hot water and cooked food. Mechama says we may remove the food but not replace it, but Basila says we may even replace it. An oven that was heated with straw or with stubble, one may neither place food in it or food in it nor on it. A single stove that was heated with straw or stubble is like a double stove. With mark or with wood, it's like an oven. We may not place an egg beside a kettle for it to become slightly cooked, nor may we break it open upon hot scarves, but Reb Yossi permits this. Nor may one cover it in sand or with the dust of the roads in order that it be roasted. Okay.
Masesh Anshe Tveria. So what happened in Tveria? You know, Tveria's got these hot springs under the ground.
Right.
So it's naturally heated water, which which is now we've got to look at this and say, okay, what's heating it? Is this considered sun water? Is this considered fire water?
Right.
Is it heated by the fire? והביאו סילון של צונן לתוך אמה של חמין. So what they did was they worked out a system where they have a pipe of water that they inserted into the hot water and they pumped cold water through to heat it up.
Yeah.
And the Chachamim came and found out about this and said, Amru lahem Chachamim, im
Right.
b'Shabbos, if you did this on Shabbos, then this is what Kachamin shehu chamu b'Shabbos. Then you have then this water that you heated up now
Right.
is it must be treated as water that was cooked on Shabbos. And therefore, asurin berechitzo v'shtia. You cannot have it not for drinking, not for bathing. Okay. B'yom tov, if you did it on Yom Tov, however, it's kechamin shehu chamu b'yom tov. So you're allowed to do it on Yom Tov, but you've got to treat it as hot water that was heated on Yom Tov, which is asur berechitza and mutar b'shtia.
Right.
Okay. Now, that's an interesting psychology because I guess in those days they didn't like bath and shower as much as we do nowadays. But I mean, there are many poskim nowadays that say it's perfectly mutar also to wash in hot water on Yom Tov. So, and I kind of make it my personal practice to shower on Yom Tov just because I can.
Right.
Um, Mulyar Hagaruf. Okay, so a mulyar is an interesting little contraption. It's a kli that's got a receptacle for coals around the outside and water on the inside, right? So the coals obviously will heat up the water that's on the inside. So if it's been scraped clean, so it was heated up before Shabbos, and then you took the coals out of it. So now what's the din with that water? Shotzin heimena b'Shabbos. It's fine. You can use this hot water on Shabbos as long as you took out the coals.
Mhm.
Antichi. So an antichi is a different kind of a kli, but similar. Okay. So the Kahati describes it as on its base there's a receptacle for coals, and on top
Right.
of it is the water. Okay.
Ah,
Okay. Afal pisha grufa ein shosin mimenu. So even though you've scraped out the coals from underneath it, you are not allowed to drink from it on Shabbos. Why? Because it heats up even after it's been scraped clean, and the whole thing has been heated up by the flame, and because it's this metal clay that's absorbed a lot of heat in it. So even after you've taken it out, it's considered that this is cooking on Shabbos, and we're not accepting this.
there's a copper vessel with a double bottom, the
Mhm.
space for coals between the two bottoms. So that makes sense. It would be
Right.
like,
Well, the receptacle at the bottom, exactly. Okay. Mishnah, hey, hamecham shepinahu. So you've got an urn which has been emptied. Lo yitain lasocho tzonein bishvil sheyichamu. So you're not allowed to put cold water into this hot urn. It's empty, but now he's putting cold water into it and it's going to heat up to Yad Soledespor. And this is the important point: is Yad Soledespor. As soon as something reaches Yad Soledespor, we're talking bishul. So that is halacha is approximately 45 degrees Celsius.
Right.
Well, nosen hu lesocho or lesoch hakos kedei lehafshiran. But what you can do is put icy water into it to make it tepid. So water, some melting ice or melting very cold water. I'm not going to get into the question of ice at this point, but putting very cold water into a kli that where the walls are already warm, in a case where you know it's not going to cook because it's too cold or there's too much water, that is legitimate as long as it's not getting to Yad Soledis spot. Ha-ilpas v'ha-kadera shehaviran merutachin. So you've got an ilpas is a big cooking pot. A kadera is another kind of a pot. Okay, which they were on the fire, and you took them off the fire. Okay, and there's a tavshil inside the pot. So even though it's off the fire, it's still considered a kli rishon. And the Mishnah says, "Lo yitain sochan tavlin." You're not allowed to put spices into this because the spices are going to cook inside the kli rishon.
Right.
Abal nosen hu letzorch hakara. He can take the tavshil and put it into another kli, which is a kli sheni, or letzorch hatamchoy, or into another bowl. And now he can put the spices into that. And
Right.
because the kli sheni, we're no longer concerned about cooking. We only talk about a kli sheni cooking with the kale habishul, things that,
Right.
and we're going to deal with kale habishul later on in the Masechta. Rabbi Yehuda Omer lakol hu nosein chutz midava sheyesh bo chometz v'tzir. And Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with the beginning of the Mishnah and says, I'm not so concerned about the kli rishon. Said the only thing that you can't put in a kli rishon is vinegar and brine, because these are sharp and they help the bishul.
Right. Did the cooking right.
Right. And of course the halacha follows the chachamim.
Right.
Mishnah Vav ein nosnin kli tachas haner lekabel bois hashemin. Okay, so what's our situation? You've got a candlestick that's burning, but it's a bit leaky and it drips oil from the thing. So you say, oh, so on Shabbos we're talking about. So on Shabbos you see, oh dear, this is leaking. Let me try and slide another kli underneath it. I'm not going to try and move the candle. I just want to put a kli underneath the spout where it's dripping, just to catch the oil.
Right.
Okay, why can you not put this kli underneath it? Because the oil is muktzah. Right? It's muktzah because it was designated for the candle at the beginning of Shabbos, and therefore you're not allowed to touch it, you're not allowed to take anything out. And if it drips onto that plate, it's going to make the plate muktzah. And there's a halacha that you're not allowed to take something that wasn't muktzah before and make it muktzah. Now you're not going to be able to make the plates. Okay, this is what the Mishnah is saying. However, if you placed it there before Shabbos came in, that's fine, but your plate will just be muktzah. And you're not allowed to get any benefit from the oil that drips because it was not prepared for food before. It was prepared for the candle burning before, and therefore it is muktzah for anything else. Metaltalin ner chadash. You're allowed to pick up a new candlestick that's never been used, of a lo yashan, but not one that has been used before. Even though it's not like obviously we're not talking about a case where it's burning, because if it's burning, you're not allowed to pick it up for sure. Okay, but why can't you pick up an old candlestick? Why can't you pick up an old candlestick? Because since it's been used for lighting, it won't be used for anything else. Okay, you've started burning it and it's made a little burn over there and it's got dripped oil in it and it's gross. You're not going to use it for food, as opposed to a new one which has never been used. Therefore, you could use it for something else. Rabbi Shimon Omer, Kol haneros mitaltalin. He says, I don't care about this. You can pick up any candlesticks or candle holders, chutz min haner hadolek b'Shabbos, unless it's actually got a fire in it on Shabbos. He's not concerned about it being gross. You can use it for anything. Nosnin kli tachas haner lekabel nitzotzos. You're allowed to put a kli underneath the candle. So let's say let's say the wick is sparking, it's sending off sparks, and you're concerned that it's going to catch fire to something. So you're allowed to take a plate and put it underneath in order to catch the sparks so that it doesn't set fire to anything, and that's fine. But okay, you can't put water in it because the water will extinguish the sparks.
Right.
Which is an interesting thing. If I looked at this halacha, if you'd asked me this without looking at the Mishnah, I would have said, what's the problem? I'm not extinguishing it. I'm just putting water. If they fall into the water, that's not my problem. And right. Feel behind the Arab Shabbos. Yes, very much now.
Yeah,
Just hold on a second.
for electricity.